Hello, I'm Brandee Norris. I serve as faculty here in the Skinner School of Business and Program Director for the Healthcare Administration's program. And I'm here just to share a small snippet of my faith journey. So here we go. I grew up in Sylacauga, Alabama, which is a small town 55 miles east of Birmingham. My father was a deacon, and my mother served in many capacities within the church and community. To name a few, she was the choir director, Sunday school teacher, director of the Sunbeams, and director of the youth department. Basically, any church-related activity, my mom was involved. She was there. So consequently, her children were there too. Being the youngest of 3 children, whatever I saw my siblings do, I wanted to do. I began singing in the children's choir at the age of 3. At the age of 5, I gave my heart to God. I recall attending revival during the summer and going before the congregation to confess my love for Christ. And this is something I remember just like it was yesterday. And the pastor asked me if I believed that Jesus died on the cross for my sins. And I said, yes, sir, I do. Then he asked if I was ready to go into the pool to be baptized. And I said, no, sir, I am not. And I remember just hearing laughter all across the congregation. But that night, my mother, she sat me down and she explained the symbolic meaning of water baptism and told me to let her know when I was ready to take that next steps. It wasn't until I was 8 years old that I overcame my fear of being immersed in water and possessed a better understanding of what it meant to be baptized and a witness for Jesus. That experience was a pivotal moment in my life, and it began my newly found walk with Christ. So as I grew up, went to college, and learned to survive independently, I saw the significance of having a personal relationship with God. My parents instilled in us to always be ourselves and never play with God, meaning I should not say or do things because my friends did or said, or because most people around me were doing it. Like, for example, in church, if I see someone wave their hands or shout or whatever, I don't mimic that because it is essential to be led by the Holy Spirit. So I began praying and asking God to help me discern His voice and know what He meant and when He would lead me to do or say something. And also to equip me with tools needed to share His word effectively. In doing so, I learned that being a witness is not always verbal. And from personal experiences, I have learned that my actions have had the most profound effect on others. The common phrase that individuals have shared and still do is, "This was right on time," based on whatever act of kindness the Spirit led me to do. So as I continue my spiritual journey, I find joy in serving others. And I have realized that when I allow God to use me, whether verbal or nonverbal, it's a mutual benefit through my actions. Not only am I allowing God to bless others through me, but I receive blessings through others that He places in my path. So this leads me to the question asked in this chapel. How does my commitment to Christ informs and shape how I engage in my field of study or career, which is healthcare administration and management? Well, it all began at the age of 24. I was blessed with the responsibility of overseeing a 25-bed long-term care facility's operations. Being young, scared, and new to corporate America, my faith guided me to make decisions and lead my team to ensure the safety and well-being of others' loved ones. And that was a big responsibility because I was responsible for looking at the lives of other people. So over 15 years, or over the span of my operations career, God blessed and entrusted me to expand my territory and responsibilities in managing and leading others to deliver quality healthcare services in various healthcare settings. During my regional vice president's role, I traveled about 85% of the time to ensure that the incarcerated receive quality health care. And I remember asking God, how did I end up here? How was I supposed to make sure that individuals who had hurt others, committed crimes, and even murdered or committed manslaughter receive quality health care? That really puzzled me. And even in a few instances, it appeared that the inmate population received better health care than civilians. But over time, it became apparent that God forgives and loves all. It doesn't matter who you are, what you have done. What put things in perspective for me was really watching an incredible number of individuals transform their lives and becoming witness for Christ while incarcerated. All right, so for example, I recall teaching one of my non-trad classes from 6 to 10, and this was my healthcare ethics, and I had the students to do a project, and for basically it was their proficiency exam, they had to watch the movie God's Not Dead. And I had questions around the plot of that movie and how they, as future healthcare leaders, when they are confronted with making difficult decisions that has an enormous impact on the lives of others, whose law do they follow? Is it God's law or man's law? And I had them to integrate different scenes from that movie and pretty much justify why they said what they said and what it means to them to acknowledge God or put their faith first in their actions before making the decisions, etc. And after class that night, I had a student to come to me and share with me after she completed her presentation that because of this exercise, it really caused her to self-reflect and really do soul searching, and that she had decided to give her life to Christ. And truly at that moment, chills really went over my body because I had no idea God was using that assignment or even me to make such a difference in someone else's lives. And so again, it just becomes more apparent to me every day of the importance that we as instructors and faculty, the role that we play and how we can truly make a difference in the lives of people in our classes. A few who were discharged for either displaying good behavior or they had completed serving their sentences often returned as motivational speakers and spiritual advisors for those left behind bars. Yet another eye-opener for me was receiving written letters from female prisoners or speaking with them face-to-face before they left for parole. They shared how they were inspired to do better and turn their lives around after seeing me do my job and treating them like they mattered. And I was really taken away from that because I was like, what did I do? But as humbling as this was, I realized that God uses all situations and all people to fulfill His will. I have learned that God uses me and He uses you. He uses everybody to share the good news. Now, by no means do I profess to be a theologian, but we have many great leaders here on campus that guides us. But one thing that I have become to realize is that being a faculty member and program director, this is another way that I can witness and share the goodness of Jesus Christ through my teaching and my classes, etc. As I embrace my calling here at Trevecca, my faith is my moral compass that guides me. It is influential in my decision-making and my teaching. My faith helps me to approach new opportunities and experiences fearlessly, meaning, yes, I still get nervous about certain things, but I am confident and I find peace in knowing that there is nothing that God and I cannot handle. And to illuminate God's greatness, He always places us amongst others who will help us achieve our purpose and calling that aligns with His will. So in alignment with our theme of witness from Acts, the 1st chapter, verse 8, I leave with you this quote from Max Lucado. To call yourself a child of God is one thing, but to be called a child of God by those who watch your life is another thing altogether. Blessings.